Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Israel Connection. I'm Esti Zenati, and my co-host today is Ben Kreshtool. Hi,
Hey,
Ben.
Esti.
And today we have a special guest. We have Idan Tzameret. Hi, Idan.
Hello.
Idan is the owner of Kitchen Design by Idan on Falls Road in Baltimore. And as you all, or most of you have probably heard, earlier this month, an Israeli flag outside his store was sprayed on with red paint. And it was all over the local news. So, Idan, first of all, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So what can you tell us about what happened?
So I have a flag in the front of my building. I have a flag in the front of my building since pretty much October 7th. We have it up right next to the American flag as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of weeks ago, I got a text message from a past client of mine, with a picture showing that the flag was, destroyed by spraying red paint all over it. I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised that it took 7 months for that to happen.
That is surprising, actually.
Yeah, it's in hand reach. I'm surprised that nobody stole it yet. I'm surprised that nobody destroyed it yet. It happened, and I went to the store and replaced the flag with a new one. I have a bunch of them, so replaced the flag with a new one. Reported it, took advantage of the situation to show that there is hate out there and show that there is antisemitics everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just talked about it with my friend today, that it's not that it started now, it was just like the cicadas.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
100%.
They hibernate, yeah.
They're underground, and when they have an opportunity, they go up, they mate, and they,
Hopefully they don't make too much, these people.
and that happened, and I reported it, and again I took advantage to get some publicity on the issue and what was going on, and got mainly positive feedback from and a lot of support from the community, which is great.
Yeah.
And took the advantage. This kind of event, as a good old Israeli, I have very thick skin, so I don't get scared from that. I don't get it doesn't put me down. It just, if anything, it just get me stronger, and I just took that advantage and say, hey, I'm gonna, every kitchen that I sell until the end of the month, which we did 6 so far, I think, so $200 for the organization that I like, and that end of the month, that organization gonna get a bunch of money, because why not?
Yeah, that's great. Was anybody arrested?
No, we didn't have security cameras. Unfortunately, our Ring camera failed, so we took it off right before that weekend. We put it back right after. Police came to visit. Baltimore County Police was pretty good with the whole.
I was going to ask you. You feel like they took you seriously?
Yeah. These certain crimes that are much more sensitive than others, and this is one of them. And again, I wasn't. My mom was worried. My mom worried about everything
Because it's a Jewish mother, of course.
Polish Jewish.
Is she in Israel?
She's in Israel. So of course, she needs reason for anxiety.
Yeah.
And she didn't get it for a week, so I had to provide it. I'm the standard.
Such a good son.
Yeah,
right?
so nice of you.
I'm the standard cause anxiety. That's my job. It happened, and then I try to take advantage to educate, and I try to take advantage to make a big deal out of it, because it is. And since then the Israeli Yom Ha'atzmaut happened, so I took advantage and decorated my building with 3 Israeli flags and 3 American flags. I think it's very important to show that while I'm Israeli, I also live in a country that gave me home and gave me support, and I run my business in this country, and I'm an American citizen, so I show love for the countries equally. So I make sure that I have 1 for 1. And then since then, again, the overwhelming response was very positive for the community.
That's great. And has anything happened since then?
So funny you mentioned it. I got home and I try to work out because I'm getting old and weak, so I need to keep my health in check. So I was walking out and I got an email, which I always check my phone and I'm always on my phone, and the title of the email was genocide. So I was a little bit intrigued, and I was like, hey, let's check the email, and it was a lovely email from somebody saying that they came to the store to purchase cabinets, but they saw the flags, which, because I have American flags, that means that I'm a MAGA supporter. I don't know what is the connection. and because there's Israeli flag, that means that I'm supporting the death of 35,000 people, which, again, nothing to do with each other. And they they're choosing not to purchase cabinets and give business to somebody who will support the soldiers of the IDF that murder babies. So I wrote back to that email and responded that, again, thank you for the motivation boost. I was actually feeling down, and, I'm going to donate to another organization that I know in her name.
That's great.
Oh, awesome.
I love that.
An organization that actually rehab wounded soldiers. And
Excellent.
That's what I'm going to do. And I told her that I appreciate it. And I asked her if she wants me to update her if I get any more donations. I didn't hear back. But we'll see. We're actually investigating and trying to find the source of the email. Because there's something weird with it came from our website. So it's hard to track who actually sent the email. She placed an email address that was not hers.
Oh,
Right.
And she actually placed that email address under Mercy Hospital, that she's like a Mercy Hospital employee.
Oh, wow.
So the hospital is investigating and they're checking. They called to assure the president of Mercy Hospital. I don't know him, but apparently a bunch of people that I know him. Supposedly he's a very nice Jewish man, and they already contacted me and apologized and mortified, and they checking with the IT department. The email did not come from them. And they are trying to figure out if it came from an employee of theirs, and then we'll see. I mean, we still in the early stages, but I kind of got used to it. I got before the flag incident, I got a bunch of flattering reviews on Google from clients that I never done business with.
Right, probably from Indonesia or whatever.
All those trolls and the idiots that are in their parents' basement.
So that I get the Indonesia and the Egypt I get on my company Facebook page,
Right?
And Instagram page. So it's easy. I hide them. I block them. It's not a problem. There's nothing I can do about it really.
Right.
And the Google reviews is more like people that go to Towson University and decide that
Experts in Middle East policy.
So they drive by and they decide that the flag means certain things, and then decide to comment on, give me a review, although we never done business before. I told my wife yesterday that I support Israel, of course, but if somebody is entitled to support Palestine, I have no problem with that.
That's never been the issue. I think the problem is that a lot of the information that the kids are consuming these days is misinformation and totally backwards. I mean, whoever thought in their minds that you would see a bunch of college kids supporting Hamas? It doesn't make any sense to me. No. Of course it's okay to support Palestine. You're allowed to do that. That's fine. But also, if you've never done business with someone, you support Palestine, that's fine. But you don't have to go and leave somebody a negative review on Google reviews. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't. It's a waste of energy, and I don't. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, if they support Palestine, go support Palestine. It doesn't mean that you need to hate on me. And,
right. You can have both.
Right. It's not mutually exclusive. You can do both.
You can support Israel's right to defend itself and support Palestine. You can do that. Somebody on last Tuesday, I was in a parking lot and somebody shouted "Free Gaza" at me in the quarry, and I was just like,
"Did you tell them? Oh, Gaza is free." Thank you.
was debating whether or not I should respond to it, and there's no point.
What provoked her to say that?
Nothing. I was just walking. I wear a kippah when I walk. I assume that's probably what it was.
Probably.
That's it. Literally, nothing else. But then this is where we cross into the waters of antisemitism, right? So it's just weird to me. I don't get it. It's not, but it's not worth it. It's not worth. It's a lot of time not worth it. I think you've done the right thing. Being in touch with police, law enforcement, dealing with this seriously, which is good because sometimes you worry that they won't take it seriously.
Yeah, in some areas they just don't really do anything.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing how the the infamous sentence of "It's not what you know, it's who you know."
Yeah.
So in Baltimore specifically, I feel like the Jewish community is very strong, not just as a unified and united community. It's also very strong as far as like some people hold very big and high up key positions in the entire community of Baltimore, not just the Jewish community.
Right.
So it makes my life easier in this kind of fight. But again, like I wear like a wetsuit. It's like it just goes over on me, and then I move on to the next day. And again, like it just motivates me to do more. It's motivated me to swim faster. It's motivated me to swim stronger, and it's stupid. It's not. Okay, so you destroyed a $15 flag and you gave me 2 different primetime on TV showing that there are people hating. What did you what did you accomplish by destroying a $15 flag?
Right.
Exactly.
So I bought a new one. It came the day after from Amazon. It's not a big deal.
And you got publicity for your business.
That's the VAT.
Yeah, I mean that's like an added bonus, but I think the support from the community is really.
But that's the thing. Like you got to support. It's like those people that they, in some of the universities, they decided to create this app that shows you all the businesses in America that support Israel or are affiliated with Jews, and they say don't buy them. You have to boycott them. So Jewish people took the list and go and buy from these places because they want to support them. Because this is, I mean.
Who's got more money, the Jewish people or the students that will never graduate from Columbia because of
exactly.
So
that's what I'm saying. Like it's
yeah, those kids like they're not thinking about the future.
They're not thinking period.
Right? They're not thinking period.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them are going to be real surprised to see consequences for their actions. But
So, when everything started, I know you're Israeli, of course. And how long have you been here in the U.S.?
I'm almost at the turning point of like spending more time here than in Israel. But I've been here since 2002, end of 2002 I moved.
Oh, wow.
So just about 22 years. And I was 23 when I moved. So
so you served in the IDF?
I did 5 years in the IDF. Mm-hmm. I was an officer, and I had to make a decision if, kind of like after I signed for almost 2 extra years, if I'm going to sign for more time and make a career out of it. And I decided to follow an ex-girlfriend of mine that lived in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and ended up in Baltimore and stayed with my wife and kids and a great family here.
So since October 7th, did you think of going back to the reserves and helping out, or how did it go? Did you have friends that did that?
So nonstop. It is. There are different. I call it the levels. Different levels.
Yeah.
Of course, I think number one is being in Israel and being a part of a family that you have people in the family that are serving right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that friends that are my age or a couple of years older that have kids in the military right now.
Right.
I don't know how they sleep at night. Just the thought of having my child
in
Gaza. So I have a couple of friends that the kids are at the age that they're in the military and in special forces and troopers that on ground. And then you have the second tier of just people that live in Israel and need to deal with the mourning of people who died and the hostages and everything that is going on politically and all that mess that's going on right now in Israel. And then there is the third tier, I call it, that us, the Israelis in the United States, that our heart is there, but we're here, and and then the fourth tier, which is the American Jewish people that the heart is with Israel, they're here, but some are as connected, if not more. Some are not. Again, within that different tiers. But I didn't stop thinking about going back. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm kind of like irrelevant. It's a horrible way to. But I'm going to be 45 soon.
Kanahara, you should live to 120.
What's that?
Kanahara, you should live to 120.
I wish, but it's I'm 45. I did 5 years in the military. I did 1 round of reserve for 30 some days back when I was like a year after I left the military. I happened to go to Israel and they called me in. So looking at the soldiers in the field, like half of their equipment is different and the footwear is different.
Right.
It's not. I'm not anywhere near a position that I can just join. There are other ways to help. I have a lot of friends that are officers, like I was, that still serve. Three friends that are colonels, and 2 friends that are lieutenant colonels, and a bunch of friends that are called. One of my old commander, he's the commander of the Southern Civilian Military Division. So he's a colonel, and he's been in Miluim since October 7th.
Yeah.
He saw his wife and his child like 4 or 5 times since, and he is 2 years older than me, so he's 47, and he's a CTO of a company with 1,500 employees, and he doesn't even know if he has a job at this point. But he's there and he serves, and a guy that was a friend of mine that was in my opposite military team in my unit, got injured pretty badly on October 7th, and thank God he's fully recovered. And I was in Israel about a month ago and met with him, and we actually went on a run. He was on very close to not make it. He got shot 3 times in the chest. He was part of the first force that got to Be'eri, and remarkably, he survived. He went through rehab, and 6 months later, the guy ran with me, 5 miles.
Wow,
which is incredible. And and I have a friend, a soldier of mine, who got killed in October 7. He was part of the SWAT team from the police force. The police force who went to Sderot to try to rescue the police officers that were trapped in the police station. So he got killed on October 7th, and we have not immediate family members, but secondary family members who were kidnapped and were killed down south. And I have soldiers that were involved, and I have soldiers that live in Netiva Asara. So it's a small country. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knows somebody, and it's difficult. I had very hard time. October 7th, where I woke up around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. I had more than 100 messages between WhatsApp and text messages, and I had no idea what's going on.
Right.
And I don't watch the news because the news sucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I did for about 2 to 3 weeks. I could not leave
same.
I literally canceled all my meetings. I canceled all my appointments. I told my assistant and my other designers that they do what they can do to keep the business alive. And I kind of took almost like a leave of absence for 3 weeks. I was barely present. It was very difficult, and especially to hear the terrible things and know that I'm here and there's not much I can do. And since I've been doing as much as I could, as much as I can, I've been running with the flag. Was committed to run 1 kilometer. I'm old, so I couldn't do 1 mile, so I did 1 kilometer per victim. So I'm just about the goal to get to 1,400 kilometers, which is 850 miles. In the first few months, I ran a lot. It was kind of also my way to take a step back and just think about stuff. So I would just go outside with a big pole and a flag and just ran. And a lot of people hung to us. Few people gave us the fingers, and it's fine.
Sure.
And a few people yelled at us, and it's fine. A couple of friends that joined me for those runs. We raised, since I think, in the neighborhood of $50,000.
Oh,
Wow, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
And we send it to, I don't like to send it to big organizations. I send it to specific causes and people that I know that will get the immediate enjoyment and the immediate, they'll get the immediate help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere from specific unit in the military that we got them jackets, and the Kitat Konenut, which is the first responders of Ashkelon, that one of my old soldiers is a member. We got them a donation to buy some equipment, and a Barzilai hospital in Ashkelon that was dealing with a lot of the people who were injured in October 7, and some other organizations and units and people that needed help. And, it's just, that was my way to at least feel better about myself, because it's hard. I know that if I lived there, I would have still served in Miluim because I was an officer. So it's hard to know that I'm not there.
It is, yeah. It's very hard. That's one of the things I've struggled with since October 7th, is that my whole family is there.
Okay.
And it's hard to be so far away and not be able to do anything. Because, I mean, I was released from the military when I finished my service. My specific job did not require reserved. So, like being in the reserve. So there's nothing for me to do in the military, but I wasn't there to see it firsthand, to feel, you know, when you're far away, it's like, so I feel like I live in like a different dimension. Like I'm like half here, half there, if it makes sense. And like my heart was there. I wanted to be there. I felt like I was like a part of that, but then I was physically here. So it was just really, really strange feeling the first couple of weeks. And now, I mean, I've been watching the news and reading about this every single day since then. And I'm very involved in social media and all these things that happen right now, and all the posts that people post, and all the activists, like Jewish activists that, you know, help out to spread the word. And I'm finally going to go, hopefully, the end of June. So, you know, that's something I really look forward to. Hopefully, if, fingers crossed, nothing is canceled.
So I went in April and I got call it stuck. I can think about more things to have, but I got delayed coming back because of the Iranian attack.
I know
Yeah.
Roz was crazy and in a good way because she cares so much about you.
It's funny because there are memes or short videos of the differences between Israelis and American Jewish.
Yeah.
Of like the reaction to that, of like the American
It's
Jewish.
so true, though.
No, it is. It really
yeah.
is true.
People biting the nails. My wife couldn't fall asleep. And in the meantime, I got back to my hotel room and I opened the news and they say, okay, you know, Iran launched. And I was like, okay, I was sweating all day. I really need to take a shower. And I was like, I have 3 hours before those missiles hit. So I'm going to go take a shower.
Take a nap.
Yeah, maybe go grab a
if
snack.
the siren goes, you'll go.
Yeah, so then like I was up when the stuff was colliding with everything, and it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, my dad slept through it. In the morning after, I called my dad. I was like, you know, because he was actually, I grew up in the Jordan Valley.
Oh, nice.
So they actually got sirens and stuff because a lot of the missiles were directed toward Arad and Dimona.
Mm-hmm.
So they got some of the sirens and some of the missiles right over them coming from Jordan, like flew over Jordan. And my dad was like, oh, I didn't realize that anybody was there.
Right.
Yeah, my dad is the same thing. He doesn't even have a mamad or anything else, and he's like, "Oh, if it happens, it happens."
Yeah.
You know.
So it was it was very weird. But I got, you know, I was supposed to come back on Sunday through United, and they canceled the flight. I don't even know if they reinstated the flight.
No, they're going back June 5th. So my flight is the end of June. So that's why.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But I pretty much knew right away that they're not going to reinstate the flight. So I booked the first flight I could have gotten back was like a week later.
Mm-hmm.
I booked that, but what I did at the same time, it was also Passover, so everybody went on vacation.
Right.
So all the flights were full. So I was able to find a flight through Israel to Saloniki.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then I spent 14 hours in Saloniki. And I watched the entire first season of Reacher over there. And then from Saloniki to Munich. And I spent 5 or 6 hours in Munich, and from Munich to DC, and from DC
Oh
I
my
drove home.
God.
So it was about 42, 43 hours from the moment I got to Ben Gurion Airport until I walked home, about 42, 43 hours.
Oh God, now I'm
too.
anxious. hopefully works out. 'Cause I'm
There are
flying with a
worse
kid.
places to be trapped than Saloniki.
I know. Well, I'm flying with Jed, with my daughter, so it's a whole different thing.
I got 2 extra days in Israel out of it, and you
Yeah.
know, some more good eating, and you know, look at some people, and I got to meet some people that I thought that I would not have the chance to see, and it was a very good trip. You know, I went to see my soldier who got killed, and his friends that were my soldiers to open the dog kennel in Engedi for his memory. In his memory, the goal is to host dogs and animals from families.
Was he a dog person?
He was a big dog person. He was just a good person in general. He was like a really like 4 kids, great guy. He was like probably the most quiet and the most loved guy in the team. And they opened a dog kennel in his memory, and we sent them some money as well to help them establish it. So we went to visit them down there, and you know, just like sat down and talked to them, and saw like the animals running and having fun, and then I talked to them. And then I went also to Netiva Asara, which they lost, this is Moshav Kibbutz, lost 17 people on October 7. I think 2 or 3 people were kidnapped from over there.
Yeah.
So one of my other soldiers who was in the team of the guy who got killed, Chen, lived there. So he told us the story about, you know, he's part of the Kitat Konenut, the first responders over there. So told us the story of what happened on October 7th and his family and their story. And you see, like, it's like it shows like this tree has like bullet holes in it, and,
right.
and this, this place that's where they murdered this 82-year-old woman that went for for a morning walk, and this is, where they landed with the paraglide and and start shooting random people. So it's amazing to see. It's just kind of how, and you see how close Gaza is, and how, and there's really no border. It's like the border is like a fence.
Yeah.
That if you want to shoot over, you shoot over. And then there is like he shows us different things that happen, and then we went to the Nova site, which is if you go, I would highly recommend.
Yeah, that's what I want to go there
in January.
So it's really, that's where you're like, I was telling my wife and I was telling my sister when I was in Israel, but it's like you see the people, everybody who was murdered over there is just a beautiful person.
Yeah.
Like they're all young.
Everybody's young, yeah.
Young and beautiful and happy and smiley. They're all like anywhere from late teenagers to late 20s, and it's just like, it's heartbreaking. And you see every person, they didn't even get a chance to live their life. And while we're there, me and my friend walking around, and you hear the tanks shooting.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see the United States dropping, a supply through parachutes into Gaza. And it's very surreal. It's very strange. And you drive 50 minutes north, and people on the beach, playing matkot and barbecuing, and it's just very, very, very different. And Tel Aviv is a little bit of a bubble.
Yeah, it is.
But still, when I went out in Tel Aviv, I talked to the bartender, and I was like, "Hey, like, what's going on?" And the bartender would tell me, "Yeah, I just came back from 5 months in Miluim."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, how was it?" He's like, "Just terrible, but we did it." And he's like, "I'm waiting for them to call me again and talk to another bartender or another waiter." And it's like, "Yeah, I just got back from 5 months, and next week I'm going again. I don't know for how long."
Right.
So it's there, and you go to Kikar Hatufim, like where they have all
Hostage Square, yeah.
all the exhibits, and it's it's kind of like you're like, wow, it's the magnitude of that event and what's going on in the country right now is it's not great. That put it in being polite,
to say the least, yeah.
But the amazing part is that how resilient.
Yes.
I really not think I know how resilient Israelis are, and people pretty quickly found a way to live their life and continue to the best of their ability, somewhat normal, if you can call it normal, and live under conditions of war.
Right. We don't have a choice. I mean, that's the life. When you go through so many things like Israel has gone through, and all the different attacks and wars throughout the years, we kind of, and I think as Jewish people in general, we kind of develop this resiliency that we go through these horrific things and we have to move on. We have to, because if we don't do that, we're going to sink and disappear pretty quickly. So we have to move on. We have to continue with our lives somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something that was really important to me to mention today. So yesterday, the hostages' families released a video that was taken on October 7th by Hamas GoPros and their cameras of the 5 girls that were kidnapped from Nahal Oz base, military base. I saw the video a couple times, and it was just horrific. Did you get to watch that?
I saw it once, and I had enough.
I had to, because I feel like it's important to watch this. I mean,
I saw it once. I know that the video was censored in a lot of parts.
Yes, it was.
They showed, quote unquote, the easy part or the lighter part, which is still very disturbing. It's I mean, it sucks. it's like, I don't have any other way to describe it. It's horrifying. It's terrible. It's just that it's bad. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And I just thinking about that and thinking about the college students in America and how they behave, and like those girls could have been their classmates, and it's the same ages, 18, 19-year-old girls. Just seeing stuff like that, and then hearing from their families, like their mothers released a video afterwards speaking about this and showing their pictures, and it's just heartbreaking. It's like beyond heartbreaking. And like, do you share anything on social media? Are you active on social media at all?
So I'm active on social media. I don't like to repost or share other people's stuff. And in the beginning, I did because I thought it was important to see as much as possible. I'm also trying to be, as hard as for me to be like, I can handle a lot, but I don't want to take it for granted that my followers or people that I interact with can, handle as much as I can. So I try not to share certain things or, post certain things. Truly, until October 7th, I was staying completely away from politics, and
right.
I still am. Like I don't, you're not gonna find me talk about the inner politics. I have my
right,
opinion,
exactly, yeah.
And even in the United States, like my opinion or thoughts are mine on that specific matter of the Israel attack by the Hamas. I felt strongly enough, and people ask me, "Aren't you afraid that you're going to lose business?" Okay, so I'm going to lose business. I may gain business,
exactly,
and I'm not doing it for that. But it's something that is important enough for me. That's my truth, and that's who I am. So I'm not going to go against it or avoid it. And I know a lot of people. Like I have friends that are doctors, and they're terrified. Like I have friends that a good friend of mine is Israeli, is a resident and in the United States, and his boss is actually Arab, and he's like underwater. And I told him, like, listen, there's certain things that I'm okay losing my job for. I know I work for myself,
right?
So it's like a little bit different story, but certain values and certain ideas, I'm willing to lose my job for.
Right.
There will always be a different job out there for you.
Yeah, it might be hard, but he's he doesn't think that they will, or he's afraid. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people tell me, like, aren't you scared putting your flag? You know what? I didn't think about it. I don't care. I'm putting the flag, and if somebody feels strongly enough against it to try to do something, they can try to do something. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the idea is that that video, back to the video and back to social media, it's I really try to limit to what level I share. My opinion is always there. It's just very, very hard for me. Like the stuff that after the first 2 weeks of October 7th, that I saw so much stuff that I've seen a lot in the military, and I've seen a lot in my life. And I had friends that died next to me and got shot next to me and under fire. But that level of violence, that level of hate, I've never seen. And I wasn't surprised that that's the level. But I try to spare at least some people or most people from that level, because it's just not for everybody. And it's not everybody can handle it.
Yeah, that's true. Ben, did you watch the video?
I did watch the video, and like you, once was enough. But I see it a lot on all the different platforms, and I think obviously we need to watch it, but also like other people need to watch it. And my biggest anger and concern is the international community and international organizations not doing anything. Like a minute of silence in the UN for Raisi. Like, it's driving me crazy. And it's like people like that are the ones who need to watch the video. And obviously they won't do it, but it's definitely important to watch it. So if you haven't watched it, you should watch it.
So there's a lot of hypocrisy over there, throughout the world, and double standards and hypocrisy. It's like Raisi his nickname was the butcher from Tehran.
Right.
He didn't get it because he ran a nice nice butcher shop.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like insane to me.
Recommending you halal cuts
right
from the meat sellers.
Oh my God, it's crazy to me. When Ayatollah was posting in support of all of the college students, I was like, you 2 months ago murdered a bunch of college students for protesting your regime. Like what is the world today?
I don't know. the upside down.
Esti was a terrible person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost it is comparable to if this was 1943 and if Hitler had died in a plane crash, the UN holding a moment of silence for him.
Right.
Like, that's
the
crazy
Idan from Israel, the Israel representative to the UN, he said, "What's next? A moment of silence in memory of Hitler?" Like,
right. Because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Raisi and Hitler are very similar.
So it's just like amazing to me how people act and react right now. Like, it's some European countries declare recognition of the
right.
Norway, Spain, and
Ireland.
Brazil. Oh, Ireland, yeah.
Yes, our favorite
Ireland,
anti-Semitic country of Ireland.
So I always said from the beginning pretty much that I will not engage in conversation, debate, or anything of that nature. Sorry, I will engage in any debate, any conversation, anything of that nature with anybody. However, the condition is that the conversation has to start with release the hostages.
Yes.
Yes.
I will not take anybody seriously that asks for ceasefire. I will not take anybody seriously that feel the pain of the Palestinians unless the first sentence would be release the hostages.
Yes.
And then.
Right.
Because I cannot take seriously people that are completely one-sided. And as much as I'm Israeli, and I grew up in the West Bank, and as a kid we had rocks, throwing at us and driving the car, and I can tell you stories.
Intifadas.
I can tell you stories from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Basically, yeah.
But the idea is that there's always two sides, and when people see only one side, I refuse to have conversation with those people. I think that even as Israeli, I see both sides, but it has to start with releasing the hostages. Alive, hopefully, dead, possibly a lot of them, but it has to start with that. Nothing can happen until that happens.
Yeah.
And when that happens, then we can start talking about, the other stuff.
Right.
Right. But it has to be like those people claim they're humanitarians. They claim that Israel is committing genocide, but at the same time, they call for the genocide of all Jews.
It's
can't
the
be
hypocrisy,
like this.
right, that we're talking about. And I mean, I think a lot of people have forgotten or conveniently forgotten that Israel did not start this war. We did not start it. We didn't wake up one day and decide, let's eliminate Gaza. Right, which even is not our goal, right? Our goal is to eliminate Hamas. And people, I think, have just lost sight of the fact that hostages are still being held in captivity. And you're right. The only first sentence that must be uttered must be release the hostages. And then you can talk about all that other stuff like you want to.
So people forget, and the one thing I would say that the Palestinians are much better than us in winning 100% is their
PR is superb.
The propaganda war.
People forget that there are 250,000 refugees in Israel right now that do not live in their homes, not just from the Gaza. Actually, most of them
from the north.
The entire Kiryat Shmona is a ghost town.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a family from lives in Kibbutz Dafna, up north, and it's husband, wife, and 3 girls. They live in a 1-bedroom hotel for 7.5 months now.
Yep.
To the level that in order for the husband not to leave the wife, he volunteered to the miluim, and he's like, I can't be in a 1-bedroom with 4 other family members. It's not going to work. And some people, so much stress, so there's an increase in violence within families. It's like a lot of psychological. Those families are left the home and living in terrible conditions for months and months and months. When I stayed in Tel Aviv in our hotel, my hotel was, the bedroom was that I stayed in, maybe 150 square feet, 180 square feet, was tiny. And there are families that staying in those rooms because that's what they got from the government. And people forget that the entire Be'eri kibbutz that has over 1,000 families is destroyed.
Yeah, it's burned down to the ground.
Yeah, it's going to take years to rebuild it.
People forget that Kiryat Shmona has dozens, if not hundreds, of buildings that, so there's no conversation about Hezbollah bombing us every day with hundreds of rockets. There's no conversation about still the Hamas firing rockets from Rafah.
Exactly.
To Ashkelon. So it's not, the hostages is the main, in my opinion, is the main goal.
Yeah, I mean, we have to bring them back. They absolutely have to be released.
So that's, to me, the main goal. Destroying the Hamas is a main goal. But we have to make sure that for the next 50 years, people in Israel, and you know what, on the other sides too, because Lebanon is kind of like one of those countries that's stuck in the middle, and they really don't have really a choice with Hezbollah.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well, yeah, it's a serious political issue in Lebanon.
Yes. So it's like we have to make sure that for the next 50 years or more, there is no situation that people who live in the country need to be worried about going to a safe room, shelter, mamad, whatever it is, that we need to have soldiers driving your town, night and day to make sure.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
Yeah. People need to be safe. They need safety. They need the basic necessities to live a normal life without fearing for their lives all the time. Yeah. All right. Well, we have to wrap up. Idan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Ben, thank you for joining me.
Of course.
Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.